This is CBT News, the voice of the retail automotive industry.
Hi everyone, Jim Fitzpatrick, CBT News. Thanks so much for joining us this morning. On today's show, we're pleased to welcome back Tom Maoli, President and CEO of Celebrity Motorcars, also an entrepreneur, an incredible show host of his own podcast. He's also owner of 6 luxury car dealerships in New Jersey. Tom, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule there to join us on the show.
No, thanks for having me on and good to see you.
Sure. So as COVID-19 cases continue to soar, New Jersey's governor once again, Phil, your buddy, Phil Murphy, setting new restrictions for the state. What's your take on the restrictions and their potential impact on the market?
Well, listen, we got things up and running. They opened up. Clearly, restaurants are the big damage in the country today, right? All these restaurants are closing and 25% capacity. Yeah. But listen, my feeling is you can't close the country down again. You can't close the state down again. You have to let us operate. People are going to make their own decisions whether they want to take the risk or not take the risk. Everyone knows the drill now. You got to wear a mask. You got to wash your hands. You have to be safe. You don't get in an environment where there's more than a certain amount of people. And right. I think it's foolish to even think about closing down. Clearly, if he closes us down, it's going to be damaging. We're just recovering. Right.
So, in terms of your operation there, are you dialing back the staff at all, or what does your organization look like?
Well, it's interesting because during COVID, and there's a lot of stuff going around with this whole PPP loan now, and the payback of it, and you get relief from the bank, but the government, but the IRS wants to charge you tax on the money that you spend. And not to get off on a tangent, I'll answer your question, but it's pretty bizarre, and I think there's going to be a lot of lawsuits. I really think it's going to get overturned, and they're going to change it. But you get these PPP loans. We laid off 80% of our staff during COVID. We were shut down. I mean, you can't have people just standing around.
No question.
Right. So we're closed down. The government comes in. The federal government comes in and says, "Listen, open up. Bring your people back. We'll give you the money and we'll forgive it if you pay payroll."
Right.
So you follow the rules, you do that.
Right.
And then the IRS wants to charge a tax on it. So now you got to pay, by the time you're done, you paid 40% of tax on the money you received.
That's right.
When the reality of it is you would have never brought the people back to begin with.
That's right.
Just to stand around and wash windows.
That's right. So actually as business owners, we paid half of that number to bring those people back.
That's correct. And the reality of it is we had nothing for them to do. But with that being said, listen, COVID hit, I laid off 80% of my staff, and then I slowly brought them back.
Right.
We got PPP money, and I slowly brought them back as we needed them.
Right.
And to me, it was all about preserving ammunition. We were in a war.
Sure.
We were in a war, and whoever has the most ammunition wins, and I want to win.
That's right. And now we've got a vaccine. It looks like it's going to be out there and available to first responders and healthcare workers and such, and probably not until maybe April or May will we see the average Americans being available for vaccination and such. That should have a great impact though on business, right, in 2021.
Well, listen, it's 2021. I think, and everybody's talking about, the administration and Biden and the Democrats and getting in. And clearly, there's no secret. I'm a Trump supporter. He's a friend of mine. And
that was my next question.
But we'll get there. I'm sad about it and I'm hurt about it. But listen, it is what it is. But, one of the greatest economies in the history of the country was under Bill Clinton, who was a Democrat.
Right.
Democrats spend. They love to spend money. Yes, they love to give it away, but to people who don't work. But that's they spend. They spend on infrastructure. They do put people to work.
Right.
And I think 2021 is going to be one of the greatest years in history in the car business. I really do. I think the big question is going to be supply. Demand is there. Where's the supply? We don't want to oversupply because then we're gonna crush the margins. So there has to be that balance. And
so when you say supply, you're referring to inventory levels. You don't think they'll be back in time?
Listen, I think they're coming back. I think every manufacturer is being smart about it. They don't want to overproduce.
Right.
They've done the same thing. You asked me the question earlier. I'm probably down about 20% staff from pre-COVID days.
Okay.
Which has turned out to be a blessing for me, because the reality of it is our margins are up.
Right.
So our margins are up, our staff is less, and business is booming.
Right.
You know,
right.
And I think that if the manufacturer is smart about this, they can let the dealers make money, invest in their facilities, they'll make more money. And at the end of the day, I think if they decide they want to go back to the volume game and flood the market, we're just going to be back to where we were. The
Right.
good news is I've spoken to most of them, very high up people, you know, in each of these companies, you know, Lexus, BMW, Mercedes. I don't think they want to do that anymore. I don't think they want to play the volume game.
Yeah, maybe even fewer dealers. Looks like Cadillac now is buying back some of their dealers that are underperforming and saying, hey, we're way over dealered out there, and we just don't need this many stores. Plus, we want to go up against some of the, you know, Tesla of the world and take those guys on head on. It's going to mean a whole new retrofit, you know, for that brand, and some of the dealers that are out there that sell maybe 3 or 4 or 10 caddies a month just can't do it. You know, it's impossible.
Right. But, you know, speaking of Tesla, it's very interesting. Elon Musk, the second richest man in the world, came out this week and said he would not be against merging or buying one of the majors. I find that very interesting for the industry. Yeah,
I do too. And I think it's fitting that you know, you've got so many other companies like Amazon as well leading the pack there that have talked about getting into retail automotive for quite some time. And of course, he's in a perfect position to turn around and buy one of the, you know, publicly traded companies or all of the publicly traded companies at his number, right? And change the whole landscape.
Change the landscape. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. I think 2021 is going to be a great year. I was just on Fox last week, and we were talking about you know, what's going to happen with electric trucks, and electric vehicles and how it affects the marketplace.
Sure.
I think we're 5 to 7 years out. The infrastructure is not there. The grids can't even handle it, and I think that you know, you have a trucker who's going to fill up his truck and drive to California. He's going to have to stop 8 times to charge his vehicle, and you know, the infrastructure's not there. He's going to do it with an extension cord on the side of the road.
That's right. Yeah, no question about it. You know, the dealer survey just came out with NADA, and obviously Lexus tops the list of the relationship that you guys have. It has for quite some time now. Talk to us a little bit about the importance of having a great relationship with your OEM as a dealer.
Well, listen, as a dealer, it's key to have a relationship with your OEM. You want to work with them. This is a partnership. This is not a you know, we own the franchise and they're the manufacturer. I think Lexus is the best. They've gotten it right. They know how to deal with their dealers. They understand that the dealers are so important to their network and how they're going to survive. I think Mercedes has come a long way, a real long way.
Right.
And BMW, you know, listen, BMW has always been a little tough on their dealers. It's the German mentality, but they're getting there. And they realize that the dealers are the ones touching the customers and servicing the customers and getting the cars on the road. And you know, they're managing the facilities and the businesses every day. And there's got to be a relationship there. It's no different in a marriage. We're all living in the same house.
That's exactly right. Right. Switching gears a little bit, been a lot of activity on the buy-sell landscape out there. Are you looking to acquire? You know, I spoke to Dale Pollack, and he said today a dealer needs to look at his operation and ask himself, he's either going to be an acquirer or an acquiree. Which one do you fall into in that? Will you be growing your footprint?
Yeah, I'm an acquirer. I'm out looking now. I'm actually in negotiation for 2 deals that can't talk about them right now, but I am an acquirer. And you know, it's going to be a game where the larger you are and the more you can consolidate your overhead, the better off you're going to be.
Yeah, there's no question about it. So turning back to the election, talk to me a little bit about that. Where do you stand on this craziness that you know, that we got election fraud out there, and I mean, there's still a great number of people, you know, on the right that are saying, oh no, this isn't over yet. Is this over? Or where are you on this?
It's over. I mean, listen, you know, at the end of the day, you're going to find election fraud no matter where you go and what you do.
Right.
And but it's not enough to turn the election. This is over. Biden's getting in the White House.
Yeah.
And I think, look, you know, Trump's consolation prize is he's a billionaire, and he went from Air Force One to his own Boeing jet. I mean, I don't.
Which is a tad bigger.
Yeah, I don't think he should be that sad. He's got the badge, And at his age, he should be off playing golf and enjoying himself.
There's no question about it. It looks like he's going to be a resident of Florida instead of New York, right up by you.
Yeah, well, that's a brilliant idea. I'm going to be a resident of Florida eventually. Also, I have a place down there. The taxes are crazy.
Yeah.
Listen, New Jersey's at 9%. Plus, they have, if you make over a certain amount of money, there's another 6%. You're talking 15% state tax.
Oh my gosh,
yeah.
That's crazy. That's incredible. What are some of the concerns that you have for a Biden administration?
Well, listen, I think that the whole green thing that Biden wants to put in place it's going to happen. It has to happen, but it's a long-term plan to build this infrastructure and go green. And you take Governor of California who's putting mandates that you can't sell fossil fuel cars,
right?
After a certain date. It's not going to happen.
Right.
You can't put a drop dead line in the sand. It just doesn't work that way.
Right.
And I keep saying this, and I said it on Fox News last week, is that in order to make electric, there's two ways to do it. You're either going to do it for a nuclear power plant, which nobody wants anymore.
Right.
Nobody wants the fallout and the risk involved in a nuclear power plant.
That's right.
Or you have to burn fossil fuel.
Right.
So it burns off of coal and oil. So you're still burning the same fossil fuel. It's,
just in a different place.
Yes, exactly. And if you ask me, I think that there's going to be, just like, Apple comes out with an iPhone and Samsung comes out with a better one. There's going to be new technology coming out. There's hydrogen technology, which I think is better than electric.
Right.
And there's companies like Fuel Cell and plug technology that already have it out there. They're putting it in trucks. They're putting it in forklifts, and it's working. And you don't need to have a charging station. So it's really, really interesting. But I think you're going to see this surge, and then you're going to see the new technology come out and start taking that over.
Right. Switching gears once again, digital retailing, obviously a lot of dealers jumped in. I know that you guys were pretty prepared for it as well when this whole thing hit. But some of the dealers that I'm talking to around the country have said, we did do, it kind of maxed out in maybe June or July. But since then, people, it seems, want to come back into the dealership and do business. They want to kick the tires. They want to smell the leather. Where do you stand on that? Do you think that digital retailing is our future?
No, I don't see it. I don't think we're there yet. And I have to tell you, an automobile is a big purchase.
Yeah.
People want to come in and kick the tires, sit in the car. They want to feel it. They want to negotiate a deal and think they're, feel like they're getting a better deal.
Right.
They want to make sure, the husband wants to make sure the wife's happy. And if the wife saw the car, she wants to make the husband happy. So they want to come in. It's a family purchase.
Right.
It really is. It's something, can you buy a house online? No, you got to walk through it and feel it.
Yeah.
This is a family purchase. You need to sit in the car. The kids need to be happy. Is there enough room for the bikes and the soccer balls? And it's a family purchase. And if it's not an SUV and it's a sports vehicle, it's a personal touch. I want things that I want in the car, and you may want something different. So you got to see it. You got to touch it.
Yeah, for sure. Hence the reason for the nice showrooms that the OEMs want us to build, right?
Yeah, well, that's a little excessive, but listen, it is what it is. That's the way they want to present their product, and that's, as they say in the movies, this is the life we've chosen.
That's exactly right. Hey, talk to me about, if you had a crystal ball, where do you think we're going to end up? If we're having this discussion 12 months from now, and we said, all right, let's look back at 2021, what does it look like?
Well, I think that from where we're at, I think that I don't want to say that 2020. Are we talking about in the automobile industry or in the economy and the world?
No, well, both. I mean, we can start with the auto industry, but the overall economy.
I think in the auto industry, you're going to see an uptick. I don't think it's going to be back to where it was pre-COVID. I think we're going to see probably a 10% uptick. I'll tell you what if you ask me what the concern would be, is Zoom. I'm a real estate guy also. Office buildings, shopping centers.
I know.
Office buildings are vacant. No one's going in.
I know.
There's
unbelievable.
3 million square feet of office space in Manhattan up for sublease. Companies went out of it.
Right.
So what we're seeing in the dealerships today is that if people are staying home or they're using Zoom, they're not driving.
Right.
So you don't need to service your car as much. So fixed ops is down a little bit.
Right.
So we got to keep an eye on that. I think but I think sales are going to uptick. I think margins are going to stay in place. And I think it's going to be, I think it's going to be one of the greatest years in the history of the automobile business, because volume's going to tick up, but we're also going to have product. Right now our margins are there, but the volume's there, but we have no product.
Right.
So when it all comes together, I think it's going to be a perfect storm. I think 2022 is the year you have to worry about.
Sure. And the year you have to worry about. So the market, it seems, likes a Biden in the White House and a Republican Senate to keep things in check and also stability. Obviously, and I know he's your friend, but Trump could be a little out there, right, at times, and could be tweeting at 3 o'clock in the morning about tariffs or what have you, which made a lot of markets very nervous. Do you think kind of the stabilizing of all of this might help the situation?
I think the stabilizing is going to help. Listen, you saw the employment numbers this week. People are getting back to work a little at a time. The numbers are rising, and I think I actually think it's going to be a good turnaround this year. As much as clearly I wanted my friend in the White House, I think that listen, Biden knows what he's doing. He's not stupid. He's going to do a good job. The man's got experience. I don't agree with all the Democratic policies, but they do spend, and when people spend, an economy rolls. They're going to come out with a stimulus plan, and when that stimulus plan comes out, where do you think that money's going?
That's right.
It's not going to go. Unfortunately, it's not going to go to children's education. I wish it would, but that's not where it's going to go.
Right.
It's going to go to new iPhones and new cars.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's a very good point. So you're feeling good about 2021, 2022 might be a little bit of a concern for us. You think that's going to be the time to maybe pay the piper on that?
Well, listen, I think 2022, you got a lot of things going on. You have, hopefully COVID's passed us with vaccines. People are back to work.
Yeah.
And stimulus is over, and I think people got to get back to a norm.
Right.
And as they get back to the norm, how do we rebuild as a country?
Right.
You got restaurants that are closed, you got retail closing. It's just going to be very interesting.
Yeah, I spoke to one analyst that said that there should be by June a celebratory bump in the economy that we've never seen before. Would you agree with that? That people,
I would agree with that.
because of the vaccines, people are just going to feel just this sense of getting back to normal. They'll go on vacations, they'll jump on airliners, they'll buy cars, at dealerships to feel good about it. Vacations, hotels, restaurants, we'll all see that, and pretty quickly.
I think it's right. I think, listen, we're Americans, we're resilient, and we have short memories. Look what happened in the Lehman crash. Look what happened in 9/11. Yep. Look what happened with the .com crash. I'm going to go backwards.
That's right.
I lived through them all.
Yeah.
We come right back.
That's right.
We bounce back, and we'll bounce back. And I think it's going to be great. And I think the manufacturers just have to understand that if you overproduce vehicles, the dealers have to lower costs to move those vehicles, and it creates price wars, and it's not good for anyone. Right.
But to your point earlier, you think we'll look back on these years and say, wow, this was an opportunity. Granted, I'm not taking away from the severity of this pandemic, and obviously we've lost many Americans. But in the retail automotive industry, the number of dealers, and maybe you agree with this, have looked back and said, we really made some fundamental changes in our business that we didn't even know we could make. We've made it through, to your point, less overhead, less expense, less advertising, and lo and behold, we're selling a bunch of cars at greater gross profits, which is what this industry has needed for the last 15 years at least, right?
Yes, and let's add to that we're in an environment where we're in a recovery environment. You're going to get a spark in June, but it's not going to recover back to where it was. It's going to take a few years to get there. Interest rates are not going anywhere.
Right.
When you could borrow money at 2%, it's a win.
That's right.
So your interest rate cost is down on your floor plan. Your interest rate cost is down on your real estate, and it's a win-win. I think we're going to look back in the automobile industry and say this was probably the window of opportunity.
That's right.
Yeah.
And one more question before I let you leave, and thank you so much for all your time. You guys are in you're in the luxury car industry. You're not in the run around. I got to get to work. I got to take my kids to school. Car. Talk to us about that. Has your business over the last year in all of those exotic brands and luxury brands has it gone up? I mean, people gone up.
People, listen. Luxury, when people,
the rich have done very well during this last year.
Not only have the rich done well, look at the stock market, right? I mean, look at the Dow Jones, the S&P hit a new high yesterday.
Yeah.
And when people have money in times like this, they want to go out and kind of treat themselves. They're like, you know what? I could die from COVID tomorrow. I'm going to go buy a new car.
Right.
Yeah.
So if your friend President Trump
Yes.
or former President Trump calls and says, "Hey man, I'm looking for a job and I'd like to take over one of your stores." What you gonna have a seat for him? I hope.
Well, listen, I'll have a seat for him, but I don't think I'm getting that phone call. I don't think he needs to work. I think he needs to go enjoy his life.
Yes.
I mean, listen, he's done a lot. He's
He
been
has.
successful. Yeah, he's done a lot. And you know, will he play a role in politics somewhere? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's going to come back or.
You know what he should do? He should work on the Tom Maoli New Jersey governor campaign. That's what he should do.
Know, it's interesting. It's interesting you say that. I'm on the
I still
RNC.
see that in your future.
Yeah, I'm on the RNC. I've been asked by the New Jersey Republican to run. I've been asked by the RNC to run.
I
the
can see
National
that.
RNC, which is head by Todd Ricketts, who owns the Chicago Cubs.
Yeah.
Todd's a friend. And you know, I've thought about it, but you know what? I don't really want to take a pay cut.
Yeah, you know what? Take a pay cut. Oh, jeez. Okay. So, and plus, you know, how many Lexus can the government buy? You know what I mean?
Yes.
So,
exactly.
you know, there's that. So, Tom Maoli, President and CEO. What's that?
I said we do need a new governor.
Yes, yes, and it sounds like you're just the man for the job. I mean, you're a friend of the working man's, and also, you know what it takes to move the economy. So
You never know.
who better, right? I mean, incredible. So, Tom Maoli, President and CEO of Celebrity Motorcars, thank you so much. It is always enjoyable catching up.
Good
and
to
I'm going
see
to tell
you.
you, just so you know, the views that we get when you're on are through the roof. So thank you for
Great.
that.
Good.
We
Good.
appreciate it.
Anytime you know that, it's good to see you. And if I don't see you, have a great holiday.
You too. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks for watching CBT News, the voice of the retail automotive industry.